You had questions. Well, I've got answers. Hey guys, Chris with Valhalla Hikes. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is a channel for beginner backpackers. And today I'm gonna do some question and answers. All right, so first question comes from Randy on Facebook. And he asks, how much food do you pack for, say, a 4-day trip? And also, what are some of the best freeze-dried meals? So, in my experience, if I'm going on a 4-day, 3-night trip, I'm going to consider that 3 nights means 3 dinners. So I'm going to pack 3 meals for dinners on that trip. The first day, I'm going to be hitting the trailhead, so I'm not worried about breakfast. I'm going to eat something along the way, usually something fairly carb-heavy, just for the energy on the trail. And depending on how many miles I'm doing, that's going to determine how much food I'm going to need on the way to wherever I'm going for the night. So if I'm doing a long day, I may, if I'm looking at like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of hiking, I may pack some kind of a lunch that's going to be light, not something I have to cook. So generally like tortilla, tuna, things like that. And I usually pack like Nature Valley granola bars, things like that for along the trail. And so I figure maybe one of those every 2 or 3 miles along the trail. So, and inevitably I end up bringing too much food anyway, but it's going to kind of depend on if you're just doing through hiking, getting up and hiking every day, or if you're going to be in a camp. If I'm going to be staying in a camp on a couple of those days, I'll usually have some kind of a substantial lunch. Otherwise, I'm just taking things that are easy. And then I'll figure a breakfast for each of those mornings, usually that last morning. I don't want to get up and cook. I just want to hit the trail. So a lot of times I'll just have like granola bars for that. So hopefully that's kind of answers your question. As far as best freeze-dried meals, there's tons of brands out there. I haven't tried everything, but in my experience, my favorites have been some of the more expensive meals, and weirdly, both of the ones that I really have loved are made right here in Oregon. So Stowaway Gourmet is from Tillamook, and they're pretty pricey, but high quality, beef, bison, beer chili, things like that, really great. So I love those. Those are really high quality. And then Lux Fly Base Camp, which I recently discovered and just did a video about them. Fantastic meals, but they're pretty expensive. And you can get cheaper meals, obviously, if you're going to go that way. You know, Mountain House and ReadyWise make pretty cheap meals. They're not the best, but some of them are really good. I love the biscuits and gravy from Mountain House. I like their lasagna, although it tastes kind of like Chef Boyardee ravioli. So hopefully that answers your question. Alicia asks, let's see, what's the best way to pack for a 3 to 4 day trip? And what should you not bring? Also, what are the warmest sleeping bag brands? I'm a cold sleeper. So as far as packing for a 3 to 4 day trip, that's pretty complicated and in-depth answer. So going to leave a little link up here to a video on packing your backpack for a trip. That I believe that is a 3-day trip that we were looking at. As far as things not to bring, I would say that typically, especially beginner backpackers, tend to pack their fears. Just in case things, you know, what if I need this? What if I need that? Don't bring a bunch of clothes. You know, that first trip I took, I brought extra pants, extra shirts. You're not going to need all that. It's going to weigh you down. You're going to be heavier. You're going to be more tired. So leave that kind of thing at home. You don't need things like deodorant. You don't need a lot of extra things that, you know, you carry just in case you lose something, you have an extra, like just pare it down. Have a first aid kit. Don't bring stuff that you don't even know how to use. So look at what you're essentially going to need. If you bring in extra stuff, ask yourself, what scenario are you going to use that in, and what's the worst case if you don't have it? If you're going to survive and it's not going to be a terrible time, leave it at home. As far as warmest sleeping bag brands, I don't have a lot of experience with those brands because the warmest sleeping bags are going to cost a lot of money. If you're backpacking and you want a down sleeping bag that's going to keep you super, super warm at super, super cold temperatures, you're going to spend a lot of money. I personally use a Kelty 20-degree bag. I just got a 0-degree bag from them, but it's definitely heavier than some of these brands. But looking online, what I have found is that overwhelmingly there are a couple of brands that keep popping up as far as warm, cold weather sleeping bags that are great quality, and that's Western Mountaineering and Mountain Hardwear. Western Mountaineering especially comes up again and again and again, especially for expeditions, super cold weather stuff, and those are going to run you $500, $600, $700. So if you're just camping, go get yourself a big old fluffy Coleman bag. Those are going to keep you warmest. You're not going to want to carry that into the backwoods though. So yeah, I don't have a great answer for budget bags, but those are the brands that most people would say to take. Got a question from Jim from Lost Again with Jim. Go check out his channel. He's fantastic. And Jim asks, is there a piece of gear you always carry that you know you don't need, but it makes your trips more comfortable and to you is worth the extra weight? So there's a few things. The one thing that I always carry now is a Sea to Summit pillow. It makes all the difference in the world as far as my quality of sleep, and then I feel rested, and then I have more energy, and I'm able to hike more miles, and so I always take that pillow. There's a couple of other things that I'll generally take almost every time that are not necessary. One is my hummingbird hammock. It's about 8 ounces, easy to set up. It's great for lounging around so you're not sitting on rocks. I just lay in it and read. The other thing that I almost always take, which is my Kindle. So both of those things are definitely not essential, but to me, they're definitely worth the wait. Thanks for the question, Jim. Okay, another question from Facebook. This one comes from Marty, 2 parts. One, would you ever use a bidet? I have a bidet. I've never used it. I'm afraid to use it. Might make for an interesting video testing it out, right? Probably not. And then the second part here, does leave no trace mean that I can't eat foods growing along the trail? You know, that's, I might be overthinking this, but that's actually kind of a good question in that in August, I'll be backpacking along trails with lots of huckleberries, and I eat them all along the way. I have never thought about that being a leave no trace concept. Am I stealing food from other animals? No, there's tons of those. Am I leaving the area worse than I found it? I mean, it's got less berries. I would think not. I think that's fine. If I was backpacking during mushroom season, would I pick morels and eat them out there? Absolutely. Of course, then you're leaving little stumps of mushrooms everywhere. And then there's things like wild onions that you actually dig out of the ground. So is that leaving a trace? You know, we dig cat holes and cover them up. Would you cover up your onion holes? I think I would have to actually defer to somebody that's like an ambassador for the Leave No Trace organization. Somebody like Rob Pelton, who by the way, has greatly influenced me. Love that guy. If you don't know who Rob Pelton is, go after this video, do a search on YouTube, go check him out. He is wonderful, wonderful man. Also, you know, wildly popular, and will probably not be watching a video with, you know, 120 subscribers. So, you know, if Rob chimes in, that'd be great. He's probably got thoughts on this. You could go to his channel and ask a question over there. But yeah, in the off chance that he ever finds this, maybe he can give his thoughts. But all right, next question comes from Instagram, and this is the next question is from Rob Pelton. For real. All right, Rob asks, looking at your poop kit, how many poops a day do you plan for? Thanks for the question, Rob. And the answer, of course, is 17. 17 poops a day. No, not. So really, the only thing here that's going to be different, depending on how many times you want to poop or need to poop, unless you're using a bidet, so thank you, Marty, is going to be how much toilet paper you bring if you're using toilet paper. So I guess when it comes to thinking about that, I figure maybe one a day. You will find while you're out there that some of the food you're eating isn't what you're used to and might affect your digestive system differently. So it's not a bad idea to bring some extra toilet paper if you're going to use it. Keep in mind, most places, they're going to expect you to carry that out. I know, pretty gross. But yeah, I figure one a day. I have been in situations where I've brought way too much. And it's not heavy, so that's fine. Doesn't take up a lot of room. And then I've been in situations where I did not have enough, and then you have to be resourceful and, you know, do like the old days and use sticks, pine cones. Well, don't use sticks. That sounds painful. You know, leaves and things like that. Something that works really great when I was in that situation, did not have toilet paper because of, well, it's a long story, but snow. Snow works great for that particular process. And thanks to Miyagi for suggesting that. Check out Miyagi on the trail. I know that sounds horrible. It works fantastic. So thanks for the question, Rob. Thanks for checking us out. All right, next question coming from Kevin. Kevin says, long-time listener, first-time caller. What are some websites to help find trails? That's actually a great question. And I would suggest if you're going to a specific website looking for trails, All Trails. All Trails has a great search system. You can just put in the town you live in, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of trails that are in your area. So that would probably be my number one go-to, All Trails, if you're looking for trails. And you can look all over the place for those. So that's going to be a great resource. Also, the hiking project. This one's a little less known, but very similar in that you can put in wherever you're looking to go or wherever you are, and it's going to give you a great list. I personally have also just Googled hiking trails near me, backpacking trails near me, and that gives you some good ideas in your area as well. But yeah, I would say All Trails is a good way to go. I use Gaia GPS app, which is also great for that, but you do need to sign up. It can, you know, you can do it for free, but probably just going to All Trails is going to be your first best way to go. So thanks for the question, Kevin. So small channel, not a lot of questions, but hopefully that answered some of the ones that were sent. I want to thank you guys for that. And then one last question I get a lot because of the name of the channel, Wallowa Hikes. It's hard to pronounce, it's hard to spell, and it sounds like a nonsense word. So I've been asked about that a lot. And so just for explanation to answer that for all the people who have asked before and to avoid, you know, hearing it a lot more, at least on the channel. Wallowa it's a Native American word, and it is the word taken to name the county that I am from in Oregon, a mountain range in that county of Oregon, and a town in that county of Oregon where I went to school. Very, very small town, so small that we played 8-man football. And I played offense and defense because we had 11 people on the entire team. So very small rural setting. And Wallowa, it all takes the name from this Native American word, which when the white settlers came into the area, heard this word, and translated it as meaning the land of winding waters, which is so poetic and beautiful. And so they named the area that. And then many years later, came to find that the word did not mean that at all. Wallowa is actually the word for fish trap. So, a little disappointing. Anyway, so the channel name comes from that area. I'm very fond of it. 500 miles of hiking trails, the most beautiful mountains you've ever seen. And it is a hidden gem, and it's what got me started into backpacking. And so that's where the name comes from, if you're interested. And if you're not interested, you just heard me talk about it anyway. But so that's it. Fairly short and sweet. And thank you guys for your questions. And if you have more questions, leave them below. I'll be happy to answer anything you have for me. And we're going to see you next time.